Very good. Hello, everybody. Sorry, slightly delayed there. Just getting some technical things sorted out so that you got all the right information. I hope you're very well and enjoying the sunshine. I am going to share some information with you. I will run through the slides as normal. Then we'll open up the Q&A and answer your questions. So I'm going to share some key dates with you. Then we're going to talk very quickly about centre assessed grades and what's happening in year 11 and year 13. We are going to, I dropped out then. I'm back. Sorry about that. Dropped out just momentarily. Going to fix that for you so you can see what's happening again. There we go. So yes, going to share with you some information about centre assessed grades. We're going to talk very quickly about the year 6s who are coming to join us. Want to talk briefly about Ramadan and Eid. Homework and report cards are the other things on the agenda. So let's delve into those things. So here's the key dates, the calendar I shared with you last week. You can see time is rapidly flying by. We're on the 28th of April now. You can see the days that we've had go past. A reminder, next Monday school will be closed. It's a bank holiday, so we've got a shorter week next week. Then we've got 2 weeks, week 4 and week 5, where school will largely be as normal, although we know Eid will fall at some point in week 4. And then the last week of term, the 24th of May, a shorter week as well, as we have a train day at the start of it, which will be focused for us in school on getting the process around year 11 and year 13 grades 100% right. On those centre assessed grades, pupils have now started to complete assessments in school. For the most part, they're doing a very, very good job. It's a very unusual situation. They're taking them very, very seriously. Just to reiterate, pupils are not going to get detailed feedback on their assessments each week, so don't expect to see updates and marking and scores as time goes on. What will though happen is we don't obviously want there to be any surprises at the end of the process, so if there are any concerns about the progress of pupils, then senior leaders or myself will be speaking to those pupils and to their families. And early next week, I hope to be able to share with you a schedule for the final weeks of term where children will do kind of lengthier exams in the sports hall in a kind of more exam style process. So look out for that early next week. Quick note on year 6 transition. I know lots of parents will have younger children who are in year 6 in other schools who are planning to join us next year. I think about half of the children joining us in year 7 are the younger brothers and sisters of children who are already at the school. All parents with children joining year 7 next year had an email from me last Friday, and that mainly was to invite them to a live event just like this one taking place next Tuesday afternoon at 4:30 p.m, where we're going to talk really carefully about how the whole transition process will run over the next few weeks. Please do, if you know that there's people that you know in the community that have children coming to join us in year 7, please do remind them to join that event. Please do ask them to check the email they got from me. If they haven't got an email from me, then ask them to get in touch with the school. I want to make sure that we get as much communication out as soon as possible. And a note just to say that home visits will be happening this year. In a normal year, I'd be going out and visiting all the year 6s in their homes. This year, because of COVID restrictions, I'll be inviting them in to see me during the half-term holiday. But again, if you know that you know of family, friends, people you know in the community who are joining the school in September, please do make sure they've received the communication from me so far. And if they haven't, please point them in my direction. Quick note on Ramadan and Eid, a reminder that pupils can pick up a packed lunch, take home with them to eat in the evenings when they break their fast. Lots of children are already doing that. Please do remind your child that if that's something they'd like to take advantage of, that's possible. Just a note really to make sure that as best as possible, children are looking after themselves. I think I've noticed today and late last week, particularly, children finding it very difficult in afternoon lessons to really be learning to the best of their ability. So it's really important that where children are eating differently and sleeping differently, they are doing that as best they can. So they're breaking their fast with healthy food, they're snacking on healthy food, and they're only awake for the amounts of time that it really is necessary to be awake through the night. It's really important they make progress in school through the next 2 or 3 weeks, because we have missed so much school this year, particularly thinking about year 10 children, year 12 children who've got very important exams less than a year away now. They need to be looking after themselves so they can learn as much as possible. We're expecting Eid to fall on Wednesday the 12th or the Thursday the 13th of May. I know different families will celebrate on different days due to the kind of differences of when things are cited and different opinions in the community around Eid. What I will ask you to do, and I'll share this with you next week, is to complete a quick online form, just letting us know that you intend to take one of those days with your child at home to celebrate Eid. That will just help us plan numbers in the school that week, even though we won't know for sure which day it will be that children will be missing. It helps us in terms of thinking about how many lessons we will need to plan, how much food we will need in school, and all these sorts of things. So look out for that next week. Some notes then on homework. So really want to remind everybody that we are very pleased with how homework has started. So far, pupils have only been doing English and maths homework each day. That's about to expand. And as we start to expand things, we want to be clear about the purpose of it. I said to you before, I think homework is one of the most important things in making sure we run a school where every child gets excellent results, because it means that they're learning more every day than they would just be getting by attending their lessons in school. We're going to help make sure pupils are practicing the skills that they're learning in class independently, and we're going to help make sure that they're going over things that they need to know in order to be prepared to access different topics. It's going to help children think about how to revise when they're older, if they start getting used to these sorts of things while they're younger. And we know that children who are successful in sixth form, in their A levels and at university in their degrees, are young people who have really good habits of learning independently. So really want to carry on with the successful start that we've had around homework. So what's it going to look like in the future? Children will have on each day 2 or 3 pieces of homework to complete, and it should take them in each of those subjects about 30 to 60 minutes to complete. So we're talking about somewhere between an hour and an hour and a half each day of homework for children to do. It will be something they can access through their Microsoft Teams account or through the other platforms that they're used to using. And we will carry on with the process of each day, the next morning, checking that it's complete and having children stay behind at the end of the day if it hasn't been. Pupils will have their homework timetables. Those timetables will also be on the school website for you to have a look at as parents if you want to see exactly what your child should be doing. And next week, we're going to launch something called Homework Club, where for children who we think would benefit from some extra support and some extra supervision in doing their homework in school, they will have that time and that supervision in school to do their homework each day, to complete it at the end of the day before they go home. And so Homework Club is something you might be hearing about in the next couple of weeks. Please do take advantage of that if it's offered to you or your child. What homework has led to is a lot more communication between pupils and teachers and parents and teachers, and that is by and large a good thing, but we need to make sure that it's manageable, because if a teacher is setting homework for all of the children they teach in a particular day, that means they're setting homework for maybe more than 100 children. If all 100 children had questions about that homework and emailed their teachers about it, obviously the teachers would not be able to manage that appropriately. So we've set up a separate email account, homework@arksandalbans.org, and that is the place where pupils can email with any questions that they have about homework, any problems, my password wasn't working, I couldn't log in, any difficulties they're having with homework, that we will then make sure is shared with the most relevant person in the school. So if you have questions, pupils or parents, about homework, please use that email address. And there will be times where pupils do need to email their teachers, particularly older children, years 10, year 11, 12 and 13, sharing coursework or ongoing pieces of work. Just some expectations and some rules about that I'd like to share with you. Firstly, it's about practicing using professional language. I think sometimes when children are communicating on computers, they fall into text speak and shorthand. That's not how we use email. Email is a professional form of communication, and so we expect children to use polite, professional language, full sentences, good grammar, and so forth. Secondly, pupils should only be emailing teachers between kind of normal working hours, which are between 8 and 5. And crucially, please don't expect to reply within 24 hours. If it's urgent, if it's an emergency, and it's about homework, please use the homework@stalbans.org address. If it's urgent and it's not about homework, then as normal, please use the info@arksandalbans.org account. or pick up the phone and give us a call. In terms of other things parents can look out for, on the Academy website tomorrow, and I'll share a link when I write to you on Tuesday next week, bank holiday on Monday, you'll be able to see the timetable, as I said. Making sure that pupils are writing their homework down in their homework planner with really clear due dates is something that we're going to really push in school. So please pick up your child's homework planner and have a look at it each night and see what homework they need to have done. And for pretty much every piece of homework, even if they'll be using an online platform like Seneca or Hegarty, there'll also be a part of the homework which requires written work in their exercise book. So you should be able to see, yeah, my child had maths homework they need to do on Wednesday evening for Thursday morning. You should, yes, see them doing that work on the computer, but you should also see their working out and their notes in their maths book as well. Okay. Final thing for me, I think, this week is report cards. Lots of you have asked what's happening with report cards. We liked them during lockdown. How is it going to work into the future? And we've been very busy behind the scenes trying to work out something that's going to be most helpful and most useful for children and pupils together. And we have come up with something that looks like this on the right hand side, where we want to start thinking about how we reward and recognize children who are working hard, being independent and doing the right thing most of the time. And so we've come up with a scoring system where children can earn points, and those points over time can lead to rewards and trust and privilege and so forth. And so we will be sharing a report card that gives you a sense of your child's attendance, punctuality, completion of homework, the house points, the positive points they've earned through the week from their teachers, as well as any negative behaviour events that have taken place around detentions and so forth. I'll share this with you and kind of some more clear kind of clarity and guidance around where it's come from and how it's put together. But I really do hope that this is something that parents find very, very helpful, that pupils find is very motivational, and it really creates a culture of reward and children feeling recognised and celebrated when they're getting things right in the school. That is it from me. I am going to stop sharing my screen, if I can remember how to do that. Here we go. And I'm going to put it back on again. Here we are, I'm back, and the question and answer session is open already. And I will give you some time like normal to write some questions, and I will not rush you too much. I will give you a minute to do some writing, and then we'll see what you've written, and I'll do my best to answer them. Okay, here we go. Questions coming through. Summer school in line with the government catch-up. You're ahead of the game, so asking that question. That's something I'm going to talk about next week. So obviously lots of new announcements from the government about summer schools and funding for them and opportunities for schools to lead them. It's something we are very, very likely to do. I'm pulling together all the information and speaking to colleagues and making plans, kind of thinking about teacher availability and so forth. It's very likely that that is something that will happen, and watch this space, I think, is all I can say about it for now. You're ahead of the game in that sense. Okay, we'll see if we've got any more questions coming through. Here's some. Great question about what's going to happen after June once the children's grades have been submitted. So I think we need to take that in a few different steps. So step one, kind of the first half of June, so kind of really up until around June the 18th. I think there's still going to be a little bit of back and forth. Children will probably still be coming into school. They may be needing to complete extra bits of work or have meetings about either their GCSE grades or their plans for sixth form. Once we get to the 18th of June, I hope that the kind of grades are all finalised and we can move on from that. And I hope we have a clear picture about what is going to be happening in the year after in terms of sixth form, what will be studied. And then what we're looking at the moment alongside other schools is kind of what bridging work looks like. What would we have children doing through late June and July and into the summer holidays in order to prepare them for sixth form. Again, a lot of that is still a little bit up for discussion in terms of what it looks like, but we'll have, well, once we've got our heads around the CAGS process in the next few weeks, we'll have some information about that too coming very soon. Let's have a look at what's coming next. What rewards will we get? So we want to talk to children about that. We want children to have a sense of input into the rewards. There's lots of different things that I've done previously with similar systems in other schools. We've definitely had systems where children with a certain number of points over a certain number of time have been able to have a non-uniform day, which is just for them. That's been exciting. We've also had systems where children are able to use their points to bid for prizes in auctions and things like this. So yeah, there's lots of exciting ideas of what we can do with the scoring and the points that children have earned. We will speak to the children about it and get some of their ideas, and we're speaking to their heads of year, who obviously talk to their year groups a lot about their behaviour and their motivation, to get some exciting ideas that will motivate children around them too. Year 13s are not called back to school. Is it safe to say they've got the it's a really good question. So if year 13s are not called back into school, is it safe to say they've got the grades needed to get their firm? No, I think it's the honest answer. I don't want anyone to assume anything. I think we as a school can't assume anything either. In many ways, nothing is safe to be assumed until August the 10th for year 13 and August the 12th for year 11, because whatever we as a school submit as their grade, we don't know what the exam boards are going to say about our submission, and so nothing is set up. The reason why we might call people back in for meetings and so forth is once we've done the marking and we've done the assessment, maybe if a child missed an assessment, they were absent or away from school, maybe if once we've looked at all the work, there is a particular topic that we feel we haven't done enough assessments about, and we've had some feedback from the exam board saying, actually, in this subject, this specific topic, maybe you haven't asked enough questions about this. We might need children to come back and do that sort of assessment. So please don't assume anything. And I hope, you know, we'll have an even clearer picture and be able to communicate with you before the half-term holiday. This is what will need to happen after the half-term. Okay, let's see what's coming next. Just need to scroll down on my computer. Give me a second. Is an in-person parents' evening taking place? Not. The answer is no initially. I think once we get a few more weeks into the central assessed grades process for year 11 and year 13, as we see how things are going, we may invite some pupils and parents in if we feel they need more support and more specific guidance about how to prepare for the assessments and the exams that are coming later in the half term. So that's on year 11 and year 13. I think for then children in other year groups later in the summer, I'm definitely going to give some thought to. We obviously haven't had any sort of parents' evening, really, an interaction between parents and teachers. Maybe it would be good to do something. I think for the next 6 weeks, the next kind of just over a month, what we are trying to achieve in schools around the centre assessed grades, completing all of the examinations, having teachers plan the lessons and mark the children's work, trying to fit anything else in that's that significant in terms of time, feels like it would be a mistake, because we actually need our focus to be on getting those assessments complete. That being said, I feel we've done a really great job of opening up communication between pupils and teachers and parents and heads of year. So if a parent wanted a particular question answered or wanted particular guidance or advice about something, we would be able to make that happen. Miss Maudsley more than happy to set things up in year 11, and Miss Taylor similarly in year 13. So I wouldn't want any parent worrying that they've got a question or a concern or want more information and it hasn't been answered. Like, we can sort that out, but I'm not planning to do something blanket for everybody, because I think we actually, with the year 11 and year 13 teachers in particular, we can't take any more of their time. Mr. Cole's giving me a message. So questions about year 9 is what's coming up next. So let's try and answer a few of those. Mr. Cole's got them into groups. Scrolling down. Any more information about year 9 subjects? Really good question. So pupils filled in a lot of information for us over these holidays. Did a really good job at that. So thank you for getting organised about it, year 9 pupils. What's now happening is Miss Boff, the head of year 9, is going through all the information we got, where every pupil's told us what they'd like to do, their preferences. She's going and she's talking to lots of those children individually, particularly where maybe somebody hasn't filled it in, or where we've had a few instances of somebody's filled it in twice because they did it earlier in the holidays and then obviously have changed their mind and chosen something different later. So Miss Boff's going to basically spend a couple of weeks talking to children individually, just to kind of make sure that all the information is complete and it's there. Once we've got all the information, I will have a look at it, start seeing kind of what are the patterns, how many children want to do geography, how many children want to do history, how many children want to do business. And then we'll have a process of talking to children and to parents again to kind of confirm those decisions. My hope is that that's all taking place either just before the half-term holiday or at the latest just after it. Okay, just scrolling down so I can see. Will year 9 ever do geography again? It's a really good question. Let me explain that. So unfortunately, one of our geography teachers left us just before the Easter holidays to start a new job somewhere else, not as a teacher. They've moved to a different part of the country, and that's left us a bit short of some geography teachers for a short period of time. I'm teaching some geography myself in year 10, which I'm really enjoying, getting to know the children. And what that has meant, because we're a bit short of some geography teachers, is lower down the school, particularly in year 9, instead of doing geography, they're having more history, and particularly they're having more religious studies, which is a subject they're all going to do their GCSEs in. So it's time well spent. Once year 11 and year 13 have finished all their exams and all their assessments, the teachers who are currently teaching them geography will be available, and then geography will return to year 9. So don't worry, geography is coming back, my friends, in year 9. Okay. Are we getting exams soon? So I'm going to assume that you're in year 9 or you're in a year group that's not in year 11 or year 12. Yes, is the answer. So in weeks 2 and 3 after the half-term holiday, we're going to do end of year exams with children in every year group in every subject. And those exams are going to generate a grade. And a little bit like we did with the year 11s and year 13s, we're going to make sure that you get some information really soon about what those exams will be in each subject and what you need to revise for. And we're going to publish something for you that you can have and you can use. Crucially, the homework that we're going to be setting you is going to help you prepare for those exams. And those exams are important because they're going to create some grades that we can look at and we can talk to parents about, and they can help us think about plans for the next school year and what you need to do to be more successful. But we also know that they're going to be really challenging compared to a normal year because you had to do a lot of the learning of some of the subjects at home, and we'll take that into account as well. But yeah, look out for more information. We're going to get you an overview of what you need to prepare for and how to prepare for it very, very soon. They'll take place just after the half-term holiday. So the kind of start, the middle of June is when those exams will take place. Let's see what's coming next. My son's in year 10. So is there any extra classes to get ready for GCSEs? Really good question. So, and then you've asked about exam boards. So yes, we are going to try and get something set up for year 10, particularly in maths, as soon as possible. So look out for information about that. It might not be until nearer the half-term holiday or just after it, but we are going to try and get some things set up for year 10 as soon as possible. In terms of exam boards, thank you for asking. I want parents to know exactly what's happening there. When we share with you the information around what their exams will be this summer, the end of year 10 exams and how to revise and prepare, we'll make sure on that document we're really clear with you about which exam board the children are working towards as well. And we'll try and share with you some information about, for this subject in geography, for example, this is the exam board and here's the kind of revision guide or textbook or workbook that we think is the best one for children to be using, so that if families then want to go online and buy those revision guides and so forth, they know which are the best ones to get. Okay, let's see what's coming further down. Is there going to be a summer school for year 11 to be ready for the exams next year? So I think you're carrying on your question. So the current year 10s going into year 11. So I think they're definitely a priority. The current year 10s and the current year 12s who've got exams next year and they've missed lots of school. So I'm pleased you're asking about them. First step is making sure homework is really rigorous and really good. And that's what we've started. Next step, I think, is some after school lessons and some intervention for the children that need it. Third step is over the summer holidays, we don't want them to forget all the things that they're learning right now. So setting some really good homework over the summer. And then as somebody else asked earlier about summer camps, the government has provided lots of funding to be able to run things over the summer. There's just lots of very difficult choices to make about which children would benefit most from that. Would it be the children in year 10? Would it be the children in year 12? Would it be the children in year 7 who've actually missed a lot of year 6 and year 7? And so I'm going to need to decide which is the most the biggest priority, where we should focus our investment. And I'm going to be doing that over the next few weeks. But we're also really clear that when we get back in September, year 10 and year 12, from day one, we're going to be ready with lots of intervention, lots of revision classes right from the start of September. And that's why these exams they're about to do after the half term are so important, because they're going to help us understand these are the children that need our help the most. Okay, a couple more questions. Let's see what we've got. Induction for year 6, the equivalent for sixth form students. Thanks for asking. So that's partly what we want to do a little bit of after the half-term holiday, in terms of normally sixth form induction, we don't really talk about, you know, finalising what subjects people are going to study until late August when we get the exam results. Because we're going to have submitted our grades and we're going to be hopefully pretty confident that they're the grades children are going to get, we hope to be talking to you in June and confirming these are the subjects you're going to study, this is how to prepare, here's some induction materials, here's some things to do online. So we hope that those conversations are happening in June. Like I said, we may choose to do something in the summer through the summer camps model. I'm not sure though whether that will be our priority around year 12. But then as we do every year in September, the year 12s will probably come back before the year 13s, again to have a bit more formal induction time. But I really do hope that where we know, for example, a pupil is going to do geography, history and sociology as their A levels, that from middle of June this year, we're giving them work and preparing them to start those courses successfully in September. Okay, a couple more questions. What happens if our first 3 choices for year 9 subjects do not get chosen? First of all, I think that's pretty unlikely. I've looked at the information so far and I'm pretty confident that actually most children will be very happy with the outcome of it from what I've seen so far. So I don't think it's very likely, but we will be talking to you about it really carefully. So it's not just, you know, here's a piece of paper, this is what's happening. There'll be meetings, there'll be conversations, there'll be discussions. It won't be a surprise. So we'll talk to you about it a lot more nearer the time. I think we've got 1, maybe 2 more questions to go through and then we'll stop. Is the Academy taking part in the National Tuition Programme? We have been. So our current year 12 children is where that funding has gone to. Our current year 12 children who who didn't get 4s and passing grades in English and maths when they were in year 11 last year because of last year's lockdown. The last couple of days there's been some announcements about new funding that's come through. I'm still catching up with that a little bit and need to think about what we're going to be able to invest in next year. But again, it feels similar that we'll be able to invest in English and maths for the children who either in next year's year 11 or next year's year 13 or in next year's year 12 who need to resit. They'll probably be the priorities for that funding. Okay, I think we're on to our last question. Are we having hot meals soon? Mr. Cole saved the last question for last. Thank you, Mr. Cole. Everybody wants to know the answer. So here's what's going to happen. First of all, thank you. Lots and lots of parents have now, I think we've got 100% of parents signed up to the online payment system. So that makes me confident. And we had all the payments for the non-uniform day and so forth before the holiday. So thank you for that. The answer is yes, in that next half term, when year 12 and year 13 and year 11 have finished all their exams, the canteen, which is currently a place where year 12 and year 13 have to do a lot of study because we're a bit short of classrooms, will be more available than it has been this year. And we will, to some extent, trial a new way of running the canteen and providing hot meals. It might not be every week and every day for every child, but we're going to start trialing different ways of that working. There's a new online app we're going to use for children to pre-order meals. There's a lot of new things coming in catering. So not straight away, something will happen in half term 6 that will help us practice and trial new things ready for September. Okay, we are going to stop there. Thank you for all of your questions. It's always good to prompt our thinking about lots of different things as we go along. Really appreciate your time. Do remind other parents, particularly parents that have children in year 6 that are joining in year 7, next Tuesday, 4:30, a year 6 transition event with me, just like this, giving them all the information they need. Thank you very much, everybody. Bye-bye.